Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. In today's video we are gonna be comparing the 5 most known and most hyped full coverage concealers to each other that we have on the market as of today. The 5 being the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer, the Born This Way Sculpting Concealer, the Tarte Shapetape, the L'Oreal Infaillable Concealer, and the e.l.f. Camouflage Concealer. All 5 are very loved in this beauty community and online, all getting really good reviews, and they all claim to be full coverage and long lasting. Obviously, it all started with the Tarte Shapetape, which was an absolute game changer. All the other 4 are basically a somewhat dupe of it, but what we're going to find out today is, as of today, which one is the best value for the money and which one is the best overall. So I'm going to be comparing all 5 of them for you, and I will obviously show you how they look, just the concealer itself and with the rest of the makeup applied on top of it. And hopefully by the end of today's video we're gonna find out which is the best of the best. So the first concealer to talk about will be the Too Faced Sculpting Concealer, which, as you guys can probably tell, is my favorite concealer. I actually have this concealer in 2 different shades. I have the shade Nude and the shade Snow, and I use them for different purposes. The shade Nude is very similar to my skin tone, so I use it mainly for coverage. And then I have the shade Snow, which is significantly lighter than my skin tone, and I use that one to brighten up areas of my face. The reason I love this concealer so much is because it's a really high coverage concealer without looking cakey, without creasing, and it is also a really big size. It is 15 milliliter, which is basically half of your normal foundation size, and most of the concealers you can buy in the store are between 6 and 8 milliliter, so this one is at least double of what you would otherwise buy, and for £24 that is actually a really good value for the price, considering that this is a high-end and a really good quality concealer. So I really love this one. And the reason this is the first entry here is because this is the concealer that I've been using the most lately, and I definitely think that this is an amazing concealer and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to you guys. This concealer is currently available in 35 different shades. They actually just came out with a couple of more shades. I feel like Too Faced is really good with expanding the color range of the Born This Way products. They also keep bringing out new shades of the foundation as well. I'm just gonna quickly read for you what Too Faced says about this product on their own website. Conceal, contour, highlight and retouch with this super perfecting natural finish concealer makeup hybrid. The ultimate multi-use formula for a modern and hydrated photo-ready complexion. Fully loaded pigments provide maximum coverage with an undetectable finish for a look so flawless they'll think you were born this way. So once again, the reason this concealer is so big, because they don't just consider it being a concealer, but they also suggest it to be used as a cream contour. So if you decide to buy darker shades, you can use those to create a shadow on the face, and if you decide to buy a lighter shade like the shade Snow I use, you can use it to highlight certain areas of the face. So let's jump right into applying it and let's see how it looks. So I'm going to start with adding Nude, just 4 dots of it under my eyes, and I'm going to add Snow in some areas that I want to brighten up, and then I'm going to take my sponge to blend this all out. And after I blended most of it out with a sponge, I'm also gonna take a concealer buffer brush and just make sure that the product is completely blended, because I don't want it to start creasing or getting cakey anywhere. So this is the Born This Way Sculpting Concealer. And I'm gonna go off camera and powder this down and finish my makeup. So this is how the Born This Way concealer looks like with the rest of the base makeup done. I don't see any creasing. The under eye area looks really healthy and hydrated. As you guys can probably tell based on the rest of the videos on my channel, this is my favorite concealer. So obviously it's not a surprise to me that it looks as good as it does. But yeah, that is the Born This Way Sculpting Concealer. Okay, so jumping over to the next concealer, it's gonna be the Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. Last year, this was the most hyped concealer of the summer. I used to have this concealer in 3 different shades and I used to use it a ton. That was before the Born This Way concealer came out, and obviously before I was able to get my hands on the Tarte Shapetape. This is a supposed really close dupe of the Tarte Shapetape. We will test in a second if that's true or not, because the Tarte Shapetape is gonna be the next one on this list. I have this concealer currently in the shade C3. Altogether, it's available in 50 different shades, 50. I think that's crazy. Obviously, you won't be able to get all 50 shades in store. They normally carry about 25 shades in store, but if you go online to the Revolution Beauty website, you can actually select your shade from 50 different shades. I don't even know if that's possible or necessary to select your shades from 50 different shades, because let's be honest, most of the concealers will end up looking the same shade once you blend them out. But anyways, we are gonna go on and test out how this compares to the Too Faced one. I have the Makeup Revolution concealer in the shade C3 because I have a lot of concealers similar to my skin tone, so I wanted to get something lighter. I don't have 2 shades of this like I did with the Too Faced concealer, so I'm not gonna be able to do covering and brightening using 2 different shades. So I'm just gonna apply this shade all over, but I'm gonna take the same amount that I did with the other concealer, because as far as opacity and cakiness goes, I want it to be a fair comparison. So again, I'm gonna blend this out first using the sponge. And after that, I'm gonna go back with this brush a little bit just to really blend everything out. And this is how the concealer looks without setting it. I think it looks super for a drugstore concealer. Okay, so now I'm gonna go off camera and set everything, and then I will be back to show you. So as you can see, the rest of the base makeup is done. So let's quickly discuss this concealer. So the coverage of this concealer is definitely less than the Too Faced concealer was, and it does look more dry. I have more fine lines on this eye and they do look quite dehydrated. This eye is quite alright, but in the inner corner I can see the dryness. So this concealer is definitely more dry than the other one. It is a 4-gram size product. So this size is £4 and it has a larger size for £7. That's double of the size, so that one is obviously better value. It is the cheapest concealer out of the 5 that we're gonna test out today, but it's also the smallest one by far. So the next entry in this video has to be the Tarte Shapetape, which basically is what we compare our full coverage concealers to now. This one is such an iconic, game-changing concealer, and I was so happy when I finally managed to buy it. It's not that easy to get hold of here in the UK because only one website called QVC is selling Tarte products. I know in the USA it's much easier to get their products, but here you can only buy it on QVC or on eBay, and I don't want to get started in today's video on how many fakes you can run into on eBay, so I really try to avoid getting anything there, but I did pick up this one on eBay, and you really need to make sure that you're buying from the right person. Anyways, so this concealer comes in 30 different shades and is 10 milliliter, which is gonna cost you £23. That's a quite standard price for a high-end concealer. And like I said before, this is a really iconic concealer. A lot of people seem to love it. And this is gonna be my first time testing this out, so I really hope that it's gonna meet my expectations. The shade I chose was the shade Light, and it seems to be a really good match for me. It is a quite cool undertone concealer, thanks God. A lot of concealers seem to have yellow undertones. However, I have cool toned skin, so a light pink concealer will brighten my under eyes. Yellow would look absolutely hideous on me, and unfortunately a lot of companies, including Too Faced, seems to prefer to bring out products with yellow or warm undertones. So when I received this and I saw that it was cool undertoned, I was so relieved. So we're gonna jump right into applying it to see how it compares to the Born This Way and the Makeup Revolution Conceal & Define concealers. Okay, so let's get into applying the Tarte Shapetape now. Once again, I have this in the shade Light. And this just seems to be the perfect shade of concealer for me. It's cool toned and just a little bit lighter than my skin tone. And I'm gonna use the sponge first. This one is so much more coverage than the Makeup Revolution one was. I'm so happy that I finally have this concealer, and I'm absolutely not surprised about all the hype that goes around about this concealer because it's really beautiful. Again, I'm gonna take this brush to fully blend it out. I have one line under this eye that every single concealer seems to settle in, so I always make sure to go back and blend it out, because once I blend it out, it doesn't settle again. So that's it before setting it with anything. I do think it looks really nice. It's slightly more coverage than the Born This Way concealer, but it also looks slightly more dry as well. So far I would still say that the Born This Way looks the best. but this one gives more coverage if that's what you need. Thanks God, I don't really need coverage from my concealers because I don't have any dark under eye circles. I have some blue veins showing through on my lid, but all of my concealers are able to cover that up, so that's not a big issue for me at all. Now I'm gonna go off camera and I'm gonna finish the rest of the face makeup, and then we're gonna have a look at it again to see if it gets any more dry or not. And this is how the Tarte Shapetape concealer looks like with all the other base products on top of it. I don't see any further creasing, and it didn't get any more dry once the setting powder is applied on top of it. It mixed really well with all the other products, so I have absolutely no complaint about this concealer. I think it's a really beautiful concealer. It is £23 for 10 milliliter of product dough, whilst the Too Faced Born This Way concealer is £24 for 15 milliliter of product. So out of the three so far, this is the most expensive one. But looking at my makeup, I can only recommend it. The next concealer we have here today is the L'Oreal Infallible concealer, which is a quite recent one. It came out a couple of months ago, and so far I only heard good things about this concealer. People been comparing it to the Tarte Shapetape for a very good reason. If you put them next to each other, they are actually exactly the same size, and the doe foot applicator looks exactly the same as well. This one costs £10, and it being L'Oreal, it's gonna be available worldwide, so it's a much cheaper and much more widely available alternative for the Tarte Shapetape. I really hope that it's gonna live up to the expectations of that concealer, because obviously it doesn't really matter that it's widely available and cheaper if it's not as good. So let's hope that it is just as good, so we can all save some money and time running around trying to purchase the Tarte Shapetape. This one currently has 25 shades available, which is quite good considering that it's a new concealer. When I was in store and I was trying to swatch a couple of the shades similar to my skin tone, I found it a little bit hard to find a shade matching me, because they all seem to be warm or neutral undertones. There's no really any cool undertones apart of the very light shades. So I do hope that they will come out with some more colors, seeing how popular this concealer seems to be. So without further ado, let's jump right into applying it and see how it works. Okay, so let's start applying this one. The doe foot applicator is exactly the same as the Tarte Shapetape, so they definitely didn't even try to hide where they get the idea from for this concealer. Okay, let's blend this out. Okay, so the coverage of this one is really good. It's very similar to the Tarte Shapetape, or maybe even better. It gave me a really nice airbrushed effect, and the little goes a really long way. I'm just gonna quickly blend this out with the brush. Like I said, there is this one line that every single concealer and foundation settles into. What the hell? I just told you a minute ago how happy I was with the Tarte Shapetape, because it was more full coverage than the Born This Way. However, it was also more dry, but this drugstore concealer is more coverage, but without being dry. I'm gonna need to go on and set this, but so far this is a winner. Everything is just so airbrushed. Like I said before, I don't really get dark circles, so that's not a concern for me. For me, the concern is the general appearance of my under eyes. I don't want them to look cakey. I don't want them to look dry. I don't want makeup to settle and, you know, just make things worse. But this one is looking really good. I'm so happy I included this one in this test. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go off camera and I'm gonna apply the rest of my face makeup because I really want to see how this will look with the rest of the makeup on, and then I'm gonna be back to show you. Okay, so here is how we look once the rest of the base makeup is complete. I think it still looks really good. I am so happy with this concealer, even more than the Tarte Shapetape. So yeah, this looks really good, especially this eye. I generally have less fine lines on this eye for whatever reason. On this one, I always have some under eye bags. That's just how it is. But on this eye, it's almost completely airbrushed. It's really nice. But we have one more concealer left, which also came out very recently and is also another one I never tried before. So let's jump right into that one and see how that one compares to these. I'm really curious about this last concealer. I heard it being compared to the L'Oreal one a lot. This shade is quite light for me. Hope it's gonna work with the rest of my makeup. Oh, this one is really high coverage as well. Check that out. It's really nice. What the hell is going on the concealer market? Everyone is coming out with these amazing concealers. It looks really good. Maybe a little bit drier than the L'Oreal one, in my opinion. Just gonna quickly blend it out with this brush as always. I think this concealer is really beautiful as well. I'm gonna quickly go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup, and then we're gonna have a look at how it looks with the rest of the base makeup applied. So this is how things look with the rest of the face makeup applied. I honestly can't really tell the difference between this one and the L'Oreal one. This one is obviously available in less shades. It's not available in the drugstore for most of the people. Here in the UK, yes, I believe in the US as well, but in the rest of the countries, I'm really not sure. However, it is cheaper than the L'Oreal one, although it is also a smaller size. It's about 6 or 7 milliliter. I can't really find anywhere online exactly how much. They all just say 0.2 ounce, so I believe that is about 6 or 7 milliliter. Nevertheless, it is cheaper than the L'Oreal one if you can find it and if the shade you find suits you. This one comes in 18 shades. The L'Oreal comes in more shades. So overall, to sum things up, out of the 5 concealers, I would say that the last place will go to the Revolution concealer, because even though it's the best price point, it's also the smallest one and it's the driest looking with the least coverage. The 4th place will go to the Tarte Shapetape, because even though it has amazing coverage, it is quite small considering the price point, and it also looks the driest out of the top 4. The third place will go to the Born This Way concealer because it doesn't have as much coverage as the L'Oreal and the e.l.f. concealers do. And the first place will have to go to the 2 concealers shared. I honestly cannot tell which one is the better. They both look really good. I would consider L'Oreal the first place due to accessibility and due to the shade range they have. However, the e.l.f. one is cheaper overall, so it's more affordable. It's really up to you. I would really be interested down in the comments below which one out of these 5 have you tried and which one is your personal favorite. Do you prefer the e.l.f. Camouflage Concealer or the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer, or would you rather keep purchasing the Born This Way or the Tarte Shapetape? I personally am really happy to have all 5 of them because I honestly believe that they are all 5 are really good high coverage concealers that give you a beautiful airbrushed effect, and I will carry on purchasing all 5 of them. But like I said, I'm really interested to know your opinion down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it informative. If you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already because I would love to have you here. And until next time, take care of yourself. I will see you very soon.